Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture, we are going to talk something about creating templates. So even before we start writing templates or start creating templates, the first thing which we need to understand is what exactly templates are. So if you're developing any kind of website or any kind of web application, obviously there are going to be two parts of your website. The first one is going to be the front end, and the front end is going to contain the HTML code, the CSS code. It's actually going to define the look and feel of your website, that how your website is going to look to the end user, what colors you are going to use, what kind of drop down styles you are going to use, what kind of animation, everything like that. So all this functionality is actually going to be contained in your front end. And then there is next part, which is called as the back end of your website. That basically means the database of your website, the actions which are going to be performed when user presses a particular key, the different kinds of pages which the web server is going to serve to your users, and everything like that. So these are the major two individual parts of your website or your web application. And obviously Django is a web development framework, which is a backend web development framework, and henceforth Django is not going to handle any front end stuff. So whenever you are making a Django website, and if you become a backend engineer for Django, then obviously there is going to be a front end guy which is going to develop the front end for you, and then you basically go ahead, take the front end, back end, connect them together, and make it all work smooth and nice. So in this lecture, we are going to learn what are templates. So templates are basically nothing but they are HTML files which the front-end developer is going to develop for us, and then we are actually going to need to make some changes into our views so that those views actually connect the backend with the HTML template. So for this very purpose, I'm actually going to create a simple template. There's going to be nothing fancy in that, but the main purpose of this lecture is to show you guys how to create template and how templates actually connect with the backend. So let's first go ahead and move on to the views.py file. And here the first thing which we need to do is that we need to delete everything which we have written here. So simply delete that. And the reason for deleting this is because obviously as this was the simple HTML code, we have simply created the HTML right here. But even if you look at this, this piece of code right here looks very cluttered. So for that very purpose, what we have decided now is that we are not going to write any HTML code here. Instead, we are going to create a separate file, which is going to be a template, which is going to contain the HTML code. And here we are only going to write in the Python code. So now what we will do is that we will go ahead and create a template. So in order to create a template, the first and foremost thing which you need to do is that you need to go into your main app directory. In our case, that is nothing but photo app. And in photo app, you need to create a new folder or a new directory, which is going to be called as templates. So once you create this templates directory, again, you have to go back into this template directory, create a new directory, and that directory needs to be named after your app name. So our app name is photo app. So we will again create a photo app directory in the templates directory. And finally, in this particular photo app folder, you are actually going to have your template. So here we'll create a new file that is going to be nothing but a template, which is called as the index.html. So as you could see, now we have our index.html ready over here. Now, as you could see, there is no code right now in the index.html file, and that is because first we actually need to go ahead and write in some code in this particular views so that this template actually gets loaded up. So the first thing which we need to do is that we need to import loader to basically load this particular template. So we go ahead and type in from Django.template, that has to be import loader. So this is actually going to be used when we want to load the template. So now we go right here and we go ahead and load the particular template. So we type in template equals, that's going to be loader.get underscore template. So this is basically going to get the path where the template is actually located. So our template is located at the path, which is photo app slash index.html. So we have simply passed in the path over here. And now as this template, this index.html file is going to contain the database data, we somehow need to pass the context to that database data to this particular file. So here, in order to do the same, we are actually going to create context. So we'll type in context equals And in here we will pass in the context as nothing but this all photos list over here. So we'll simply pass in all underscore photos .html file. And now we need to go ahead and we have to use this context in the index.html file to retrieve the database data. So now let's go ahead and try to do exactly that over here. So we will create an unordered list over here. So once we have this unordered list, what we will do is that we will go ahead, extract all the photos from this all photos context. And for that very purpose, that is basically whenever you have to write this Python code, or this is not actually Python code, it's actually a Jinja 2 template. So whenever you have to write in the code in your template, you always write the code in between two curly brackets and 2% sign. So within this particular syntax, we are going to go ahead and extract all the photos from the context. So we'll type in for photo in all underscore photos. That means now we have this for, and whenever you start a for here, you always need to end the particular for. So here we will type in end for over here, and all the HTML code is going to be in between these two particular tags. So we will type in list element, and this list element is actually going to have a link. So we will type in ahref, and that's actually going to be slash photos, because we obviously have to pass in the link. So this link is nothing but the link which we have created before to this lecture over here. So we type photos, and here we have to get access to the photo ID. So here, in order to get access to those object details, we use such double curly brackets or curly braces syntax over here, and in between that we need to type in photo.id. So now once we have set up the URL, we also need to access the photo name. So again, we use this double curly brackets or double curly braces syntax. We type in photo.name, and once we are done with this, we are basically good to go. So now, as you could see, our index.html template is absolutely ready. And we also have set up the view so that this view is now going to render the template along with the context. So once we do that, hopefully we should not have any error. And yeah, everything looks fine. So now let's go ahead and refresh this thing. And as you could see, this thing just works fine. So when you click on these particular objects, you're actually going to get the detailed view of those particular objects. So that's how you could go ahead and use templates in your Django code, which is going to make your code much more cleaner, so that now you have the database part and the representation part separated. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we are going to learn one more method of rendering templates. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.